Hey, what's up guys, Benny here and welcome to another Call of Duty Warzone video where I'm going to be giving you 8 secrets to help you get better aim in the game. Because you know this, you need to be landing your shots consistently to be winning those gunfights, to rack up those kills and get those wins. Now, some of the tips I'm going to be giving you in this video, you're going to be able to implement straight away. And some you'll have to maybe grind a little bit to get the unlocks, but it'll be worth it in the long run. As remember, even though Cold War weapons are being added into the game, Modern Warfare guns are still going to be as good as they are now. Also, if you are new to the channel, do make sure to hit that subscribe button, as 75% of you watching are not subscribed to the channel, and I promise you, you'll get better at Warzone. Okay, let's kick off with one of the best ways to improve your aim in Warzone, and that's your choice of optic. A lot of players overlook this choice and either just go with an iron sight, which on an assault rifle, if I'm being honest, is just a poor choice in Warzone's current meta. Also, remember, there are a couple of customizations that you can make to your optics that will make them even better than the default scopes and sights that a lot of players are currently using. Let's start with what I think is probably the best out of the lower zoom optics, and that is the Corp Combat Holo Sight. The scope itself will give you a 1.28 times magnification, so you're going to be able to manage your accuracy a little better in those short to medium range gunfights. Now, what I mean by this is making those adjustments to help you land headshots. On a low recoil gun like the Kilo, this is a lot easier to do and manage compared to the Amax, for example. But something I cannot stress enough, if you want to be using this optic, I really recommend you putting in the grind to unlock the blue dot, which, yes, is a bit of a pain, but what it does is gives you a clear sight so you can see exactly what's going on where you're aiming. Personally, I find that the default reticle has too much going on and really obscures your vision. It may not seem like much, but in a game of narrow margins, it really will help you out having that blue dot. Now, if you want to use the Corp Combat Holo Sight, the guns I think it works best on are the Kilo, the M4A1, the M13, and the CR56 Amax. Just make sure to grind for that blue dot. Next, we have what is probably now the most popular optic for an assault rifle in Warzone. It's the one that pretty much every single pro player uses because it's so versatile and easy to use, and most important of all, is still considered a low zoom optic, and that is the VLK. But even though it's used by a lot of people, there's still something a lot of players don't spend the time to do, and nor did I until recently. Now, the VLK is a 3 times magnification scope, so when you aim onto your target, you're going to be able to be really precise with your shots. And with the Kilo, which is the best assault rifle in the game right now, you'll be able to easily land those headshots, and I'll give you some tips on how to do that easier later on in the video. But we all know a lot of players grind to get the blue dot, but what a lot of people don't do is get the optic customization for the VLK, and the T-pose reticle is incredibly clean and also helps you keep your target centered so you can make those small corrections that you have to make in a gunfight. It's also the 4th reticle, so very quick to unlock compared to the blue dot, which is the final unlock. I didn't do this until recently and really noticed the difference, though it could be that new optic feeling. Now, the VLK and the Corp Combat Holo are clearly the 2 most popular optics in Warzone right now, but there are 2 others that I'd recommend if you want to mix it up a little. The PBX Holo 7 sight is really clean, especially if you put that blue dot on it, and then also on an assault rifle like the M4A1, I quite like using the GI Mini Reflex, which is super clean and importantly lets you see what's going on around you a lot easier. However, for best performance, if you can, use the Corp Combat Holo with the blue dot and the VLK with the T-pose. So, you've now got your optics on your weapons. What I now want to help you with is being as accurate as possible, which is going to allow you to land more shots, and then more importantly, as you get better, more headshots. That's just going to end up with you having a faster time to kill overall. Now, I've said this in past videos, but the general rule of thumb, a lower sensitivity means you have a higher level of control, whilst a higher sensitivity makes you more reactive. So, I found after messing around with sensitivity for a long time that 5.5 seems to be the perfect middle ground, which I know a lot of other pro players use as well. This allows you to scan the area looking for targets and also be able to hip fire accurately. Though I would say a 5 sensitivity when aiming down sights is still too fast to be really precise to get more consistent headshots, which is why you want to drop your ADS sensitivity multiplier down to a 0.8, which will give you a 4 sensitivity when you're aiming down sights. Now this is the secret. With the game's aim assist, you'll get a bit of a stick onto an opponent when you go to scope into them. That combined with a 0.8 sensitivity will allow you to flick your thumbstick upwards and land consecutive headshots, giving you the fastest time to kill possible, especially with a low recoil weapon like the Kilo. You also want to make sure that you use that dynamic aim response curve, which is going to give you much better control with your thumbsticks, which will allow you to make those small adjustments to land those headshots. This may seem super simple, but they're key settings and changes that a lot of pros make to be at the very top of their game. And if you use them for a while and then go back to your original settings, you'll really notice the difference that it's made. Another secret to being more accurate in Warzone is something I like to call the target snap. How often do you really see a pro hard aiming unless they're focusing on a corner or a doorway that they know an enemy is going to be coming from because of their game sense? Well, the answer is not that often, and it's why you want to take advantage of what I like to call the target snap. This is where you're taking advantage of, once again, the game's inbuilt aim assist, where you put your crosshairs over a target and then scope to ADS. This will give you that sticky feeling when shooting and allows you to hit your opponent straight away and be able to get the kill very quickly. For example, if someone suddenly appears on the right, you don't want to drag all the way across whilst aiming down sights, which I see people do a lot. You want to scope out, then snap onto your opponent. Something all great controller players do is abuse the aim assist that you get given. That stick is a big advantage you do not want to be missing out on, so snap onto your targets. I've also got to address the field of view issue when it comes to improving your aim in Warzone. There was a huge discussion going around that if you had a wider field of view, say 100 for example, and then changed your ADS field of view to affected, you got less recoil. This is in fact completely not true. It's an optical illusion because you're further away from the barrel of the gun, so you don't see the small adjustments to the recoil as clearly. This actually means you're not going to be able to be as accurate with a controller using that setting. So for that reason, I always play with this setting at independent. This means that when I aim down sight, I get an additional level of zoom to my optic that allows me to make the adjustments that I need to land those headshots and get those kills. Which brings me on to my next tip, because I want to help you land more headshots and miss less shots overall. Because to be completely honest, there's no point going for headshots if you're missing an extra 2 or 3 bullets to get that headshot. You're just going to have a longer time to kill, which is why one of my secrets to having better aim and being able to take down your opponents faster is to understand the weapon that you're using. For example, I know that the Kilo, for example, is going to take between 4 to 9 shots to take someone down, depending on how many plates that they've got on, whilst that number is 3 to 6 with headshots. It deals 28 damage for a body shot and 42 for a headshot, so a 1.5 times increase. Because of that, unless I'm mounted, I'll always aim for the upper chest and then slowly push my thumbstick upwards. This means I'll get 3 to 4 shots in the chest and then finish them with the headshot. This means I'm going to have a higher overall damage output, and though not the fastest possible time to kill, the most reliable and consistent, which in a game like Warzone is sometimes more important. Though remember, sometimes you might need to take a risk and go for all headshots if you're getting pushed by multiple opponents. But that comes down to experience. Just get into the habit of aiming for the upper chest and dragging upwards to get more consistent headshots and kills in Warzone. Also, don't be afraid to mount. I sometimes get some of the easiest kills ever because mounting completely eliminates my gun's recoil. I'll mainly do this as an opener, as you never want to be too static whilst in an active gunfight, as it's too easy for you to get snapped onto and taken out, as when you're mounted, your head is usually quite prominent and easy to hit. Also, another big secret to getting better aim in Warzone is something I don't see enough people do. People are just running around like headless chickens some of the time and looking at the floor as they're running around. But you need to be centering your crosshairs. To do this, it's quite simple. When you're moving around the map, make sure your crosshairs are looking at the most dangerous location that a player is most likely going to be coming from. This means you can then take advantage of that aim assist stick if a player does appear instantly. Left trigger, right trigger, and you'll get a kill before they even get a chance to react. It's just something to have in the back of your head whilst you're playing Warzone. Then one of the biggest secrets to getting better aim is practice. I spend about 20 to 30 minutes warming up my aim before I get into matches whilst I wait for my friends to get on. Let me quickly show you what I do. So what I do is go into a custom game. Now, I set this up pretty much the exact same way every time. I choose a map like Trench, which has got a load of different lines of sight so I can practice at different ranges. I then make it a free-for-all against bots. Then I have some game rules that I set up. First of all, I choose the time limit, which is just how long I want to warm up for, in this case, 15 minutes. I set the score to unlimited, so it doesn't matter how many bots I kill, the game isn't going to end. I then head over to player. Now, to make it as Warzone focused as possible, I make this 250, so it means that enemy opponents have the same health as someone that's got max plates on in Warzone, which is a really, really helpful thing to do. I then go over to team and go to radar always on and make that constant. I don't need to be looking for people. I just want to be snapping onto my opponents as quickly as possible. And then that is actually it. I then put some bots in. So I go down to bot setup. I'll just whack that up to max. I then you can have different variations of difficulty if you want. If you just want to snap onto your targets and get used to just snapping onto an opponent, have recruit and then go into the game. Then when I'm in the game, I'll just use the exact same weapons that I use in Warzone, so I just get used to how they behave and, you know, can learn to control the recoil that little bit better. But hopefully you found this video helpful. I have an absolute blast doing this as well, because it does really warm you up, because you start snapping onto opponents all over the place because it's absolute carnage. But I hope you found this video useful. Share any other tips that you have down in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, smash that thumbs up button, and I will see you next time.